Democrats. So I want to go now to Democratic Congressman Steve Cohen. He's a member of the House Judiciary Committee. So, of course, you were the first committee to be notified of the report. You know, you got the letter here from Bill Barr. And he is now saying, Congressman, that he could brief you as soon as this weekend. So have you heard any more? What are you expecting from the Attorney General?
I don't expect a great deal. This is basically his Elliot Richardson moment. He has to decide whether he wants history to judge him as one of the good guys who stood up for the Justice Department and the rule of law, or whether he wants to be seen as a byproduct of the president who appointed him. And Elliot Richardson decided Richard Nixon needed to have an independent, the nation needed an independent U.S. Attorney General and not Richard Nixon. So he resigned. Bill Barr can make the entire Mueller report public. The public paid for it. The public wants to see it. The public deserves to see it. In the interest of transparency, in the interest of the rule of law, and in the interest of just fair play. We need to know whether or not our president or anybody in his campaign or his family was involved with the Russians in affecting the 2016 election. We know the Russians did it.
Yes.
The question is, what degree of proof do they have? They may not have had proof beyond a reasonable doubt. They might not have even looked at that because of old Justice Department regulations that says you can't indict the president. There's a different standard of proof for impeachment, and I think we need to see as much as we can. I understand sources and methods. I understand grand juries, but that's a limited amount of evidence that probably would be restricted.
If the takeaway here, though, and obviously some of this stuff could have been offloaded to other jurisdictions, right? We know Michael Cohen, for example, was, campaign finance was. There could be other things we don't yet know about. Obviously, we're going to talk about more about that. But if the takeaway here is no more indictments from Bob Mueller, but this report gets into the president's historical relationship with Russia, and there is, quite a bit there that would be quite damaging or damning. But there are no indictments to come with it and no recommended indictments to come with it. Do you still think that should be put out there?
Yes, because the president, because of the past Justice Department guidelines, which are from 40 some odd years ago, and many people think that they were improper, cannot be indicted. That's not a reason not to give the public that information, since he can still be impeached. And the fact of impeachment is a different standard of proof, and that's the last resort. The Justice Department based their opinion on the fact that he could be impeached and shouldn't be indicted, that the remedy for any improper activities was impeachment, and if they have evidence that could lead us to think that he has obstructed justice, abused his power, then they should release that information to the authorities that can take action, which would be the House Judiciary Committee in an impeachment resolution.
Okay, so I want to ask you about impeachment in a moment, but first, Bob Mueller himself. If he does not provide, if we don't get the full report and we don't get all the information behind it, will you go ahead and subpoena him to appear before your committee? Will you call him there?
Well, Chairman Nadler would make that decision, and he's made it clear that he would do that.
Okay.
And I think his committee, I know his committee is strong and will support him in that. So I think that he will be, if we don't get the report in full, to our satisfaction, that Robert Mueller will be subpoenaed before the Judiciary Committee.
All right, so you would support that. Now, on the issue of impeachment, Nancy Pelosi has made it clear that she doesn't want to do anything with it unless there is something that is so clear and so bipartisan that she could get GOP in the Senate to support it, right? She doesn't want to just impeach the president in the House for show. If she wants to impeach him, she wants him removed from office. That means Republicans must be on board, at least 12 of them in the Senate. They're going to look at this and say, no more indictments. Does that mean that this whole conversation is over?
As far as impeachment, you mean?
Yeah.
I don't think it is. You need more than 12 Republicans. You'd have to get not 60, but 66 Republicans to convict in the Senate. So you'd need about 18 of them. That's going to be real hard to find.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, there have been situations where the votes in the Senate weren't there when the impeachment resolution process started. And once the impeachment process went on, proof came out that made it clear that the votes would have appeared and did appear. And that's a Nixon situation. He saw that the votes were going to be there, and that's why he resigned. But before the hearing started in the House, there were not the votes in the Senate. But once information came out, and a lot of it was the was Miss Lincoln's 22 minutes, the tape recordings from the White House. That was kind of the smoking gun.
All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time, Congressman.
You're welcome. We paid for it. We need to get it.
All right. And I should point out, by the way, so everyone watching knows, yes, the taxpayers, we paid for it because of the money that Mueller has recouped from people like Manafort. His whole investigation is actually in the green. Taxpayers have made money on it. Pretty incredible.